Hello, my name is Emmanuel, and we'll be looking at Unreal Game Engine. And in this category, we'll be looking at game development. So, first of all, we'll be looking at how to create and open a project or create a new file in Unreal Game Engine. We'll be looking through from the blank, from a clean and empty file, then looking at how to use Unreal Game Engine, and that's how we'll be getting ourselves feet wet. When creating our game, we can choose a, if a basic file with no code in it, or we could decide to pick a basic code, and that will have at least some basic application of C++. We can also go down and maybe choose a code for first person shooter and so forth. Like we could decide to make a blueprint for puzzle game, or maybe even for car racing. So that's that's to let you know that Unreal is able to accommodate for all these templates and game types that you wish to create. Now I want to create a project from a blank, an empty project. So blank. So we'll click on this, on the blank project, and make sure you click to include the starter content. This includes starter contents. That way we have some basic like files to work with, or materials. Now always create your project or your work in a new or in an entire project. That way you have all the assets, all the materials, all the things you create for a game. They will all be placed in a particular file or in a folder. But if you just create like a scene, we may get to that in a minute. But if you only create a scene, all that will do is when you render or make your game, if you decide to open it in another computer on another laptop elsewhere, that means you may have to now be looking around for the various assets to go with it. So it's always good to make your file or create your game in a project, so that all the files and the associated assets and materials that you use to make that game will be all placed in a particular folder. So now I'm picking a blank, a clean empty project. So let's give it a name. Let's say intro, capital intro underscore underscore Unreal UE4. Yeah. We click on create a project here. But if you think you don't want it in this, now if you click create project, it's going to place it in the default container. You could decide to change the location by picking maybe another drive later. Maybe you want it in another drive later. But yeah, I'll just leave it here where I want. Create. And it's creating. It's creating our project. So now, as we can see, the Unity Game Engine, what it does is to open up the editor, it closes that first page. So don't think that, oh, it's crashed. No. That's how it has to do. Yeah, now it's loaded, and it's compiling, applying, including, applying. So it's compiling shaders because I just installed it and this is the first time. Now while my UI is still compiling shaders, we can as well continue going through what we have to do. Now when Unreal Engine loads up, it loads up with this its template with its level, like that's its own demo. So I'll go on to create a new level. Doesn't matter, just create a new level. You can create a default or just an empty level without any lights or anything. So let's just go with the default. Yeah, select it and select. We go on to the. Now continue with the UI and looking at the various panels. Now this part here, this middle here, where we have the new level, this UI here is the viewport. Now this section here is called the modes, and we'll be going deeper into how we'll be using it. This section here on the left side here is a content browser, while on the right hand side here, at the top right hand side, it's called the scene outliner. So this scene, you give it a name, you find it here. Anything brought here, you find it here. And we'll be going deeper. Now let's start while this is still compiling shaders. Let's now go to the mode section and take this UI interface one after the other. Now under the modes, this panel here is to place objects into the scene, while the next panel here is to paint objects in the scene. This landscape object here is to, let's say, create a terrain. Like let's say we want to create a terrain or like an environment, we'll use this. Then this is to make a foliage, and also the last one is for editing geometry, like making one part, editing it. So yeah, and that's on the mode section here. So they all have the various under the geometry. Geometry has its box. They can't be geometry has, you have the primitives, they have the box, they have cone. These are examples of the geometry: curved, linear, stair, spiral stair, a sphere. While we can make light into the scene, it has the 4 different types of light. We have directional light, that's light like in a floodlight. Point light. We have spotlight, like maybe we have a character in the middle of the center, you can place a spotlight on him. And skylight. We have under the same modes, we have the visuals, and quite a few. The post-process volume, atmospheric fog, experimental height. You can see that this is quite a bit similar to, not quite similar if you've used UDK before, or you've seen it may look a bit different, but yeah, it's still easy to use. When we click on each of these containers, they have various options that go with them. Like if you look at the place option, it comes, like I said, with all these various items that go with it, which we'll be using definitely to create a video game. And paint has it as well. Look at them, we can edit them. Landscape comes with this, foliage, and also geometry. But for a beginner, just a minute, compiling. For a beginner, I think we'll mostly be dealing with the place option and the geometry editing. Now let's move on from there. Let's go now to the content browser. The content browser, this section is very important in Unreal Game Engine. In the content browser, let me just expand it a bit. It comes with, as we can see for the game, it looks at the architecture that you want to place it. We have the static meshes that you need. Even in this content browser, this is the place where any object or thing you create, like props, meshes, textures, they are all placed in the content browser. This is where you pick them. This is where even you customize your own materials or props. This is where it's dropped in, and this is where we'll be picking it out to bring it into the game, to the viewport. Like I said, this section is the viewport. We're in the content browser now. So this place, or this section of the UI, is very important for anyone to know and to understand. Like, look at it. That's why whenever we create a project automatically, when you bring it into this game engine, it stores them into various sections. It knows how to place each thing you create in the project. It knows how it assigns it to the architecture, to the audio, to the scheme, to the maps. It knows. That's why making anything in a project is very necessary. Now let's move to the toolbar now. Now on the toolbar, there's the save. When we finish anything here, we could just click on save, and we know we save it to the file we made as our initial creation of the file of the project. Now we also can go to the content browser. We could just left click on it, or Ctrl Shift F, that's on the short key, or just click on it and it will come to the same content browser. Let's say we close this, we can just click on that and it will open. Like, let's close it now. If we click on the content browser, it will open. That's where it is. We can click on here to go to the marketplace, like maybe to get some props, some more things from the marketplace. Just click on here. Quick settings, maybe to change the settings and see the highlights of the settings. World settings, blueprints, Martini. Yeah, this is the Martini button. This one, it displays the Martini objects in the Martini editor. That's where it does. We'll click on the build. Let's say we finish our level, then we can just build the levels, or to build the game. We could simulate what we've done as the game. Just simulate. It doesn't play, but just simulate. Then we could play the game live here, or if we wish, we could then launch the game. Yeah, and that's what we'll be using this toolbar a lot. Now let's move from there now to the scene outliner. The scene outliner is basically everything that's in the viewport. And look at it. If I left click on the atmosphere for, what it does is it just brings us right into our scene. And we then look at the area. If we click on the sky, it brings us here. The light source, it tells us where the light comes from. The player starts. Here's the player starts. And obviously anything we click on, we'll be spending loads of time in the viewport area. Anything we click on always has its attributes that is highlighted here. Now, if we click on the player start, it comes with its attributes here, and we will be editing each and every one of it in the viewport and looking at it to edit them also in the scene outliner. Now let's play around the viewport for one moment. Let's look at the viewport. If you hold on your left click on the mouse, and just move left to right, it moves the scene. It moves the scene left and right. Yeah. So holding down the left mouse, the left click, and moving around, it holds down, it moves the scene. If you hold down the left mouse and remove the center of the mouse button, it moves it front and back. So left, right, front, back. Okay. If you hold down the right click on the mouse and move it up, left, right, it pans the scene so you can look into the sky. It pans, it's like panning around so you can move, and trust me, it will be needed. So holding down the right click on the mouse, I'm hovering, it pans the scene. Look at it. It pans the camera around so you can move around and look up. Now, sorry. Holding the middle mouse button pans the entire scene. That pans the scene. While holding the right click only moves it to where you want to see. Like you can view the top. So middle mouse click pans the scene. Alright? Another thing to know is, let's say we're here now, or let's say we're there. And you want to look it properly, or from the entire, you can just hit the F button and it will frame in. It will just frame on the entire scene. So that could be good. Let's say you're looking for your footsteps. Alright? So again, let's say we're deep down somewhere here or doing some, push the F key, and we notice that the camera moves back and we can see the entire scene. Now after pushing the F key, this is important now. You can hold down the Alt key on the Windows. I'm using the Windows keyboard. So you can hold down the Alt key and hold down the left mouse button, and what it does, after you've pushed the F key button now, you can hold down the F Alt, the left mouse click, and just move around. You can move around as you want. Oh, what this does is it will move around the selected object. You can be able to move around that, look around, check, do whatever you want. So holding down the Alt and holding down the left click on the mouse button, you can go around the selected or keyframed object in the viewport. Okay? If you hold on the Alt and the middle mouse button, it will allow you to pan. Yeah? And if you now hold on the Alt and the right click button of the mouse, it will allow you to zoom in and out. Yeah? You zoom in and out. So various keys that will be needed during proper making of the game. This clicks and I'm showing are quite synonymous with the Autodesk Maya default shortcuts. So people who use them will find it quite easy and should be known with it. Another buttons or keys that we should get accustomed to is the WADS keys. Remember, we can use our left click and just move around with this, or hold the Alt left click and pan around. But look at this. Hold the W key. Look at this. Hold on the left click mouse and press the W. It moves forward. Press the S on the keyboard. It moves back. Press the A. It moves left and right. or you zoom the camera to the left, and press the D, you zoom the camera to the right. Yeah? So hold down the left click, W goes to the front, S moves backwards, A to the left, and D to the right. Yeah? Once again, press F and you zoom in. Now let's go further by still holding our left click and pressing the E. It goes down, and Q takes it up. Oh, hold on the right click. It does the same thing. Right click, E goes down, Q goes up. So that you can use those 6 keys to navigate around the viewport. So that's it about the viewport and how to navigate around it. So once again, let's use our keyboard shortcuts for. I'm holding out the left click, W. Now let's bring some props into, maybe one prop into our environment or into our scene. So go to in the content browser. On the content browser, we'll come down to props. Click on props. Now we have various items here. So let's bring it. Let's say, let's bring in this chair, this couch. So hold down the left click and just drag straight into our scene. Yeah, that's it. This is a default, one of the props in Unreal Engine. So drag right into the scene and drop it there, and it snaps straight up. So let's say we want to rotate it. Let's say we want to do anything. Let me give it a shortcut. Simple. Just press the space bar on the keyboard. It gives us the rotate to, so you could then rotate it whichever way you want. I'll click on undo. Again on the space bar, press the space bar. That's scale to. We could scale it to whichever way we want. Hold the center and to scale it universally, or hold the top, it is the Z axis, because Z it to go up, or hold the Y axis and Z it, scale it, or hold the X axis to scale it. Yeah. So I'm going to undo all that. Now so once again, space bar, and that's the move to. If you want to click, use the normal method, which is by just pressing this translator, which is to translate, to rotate, and to scale. So we get that, or we could just press the W, E, and R. So W again, E, it moves, it comes here, look at the mouse, and R there, right? Or we could just use the space bar and to do the whole 3. Now, so there are various individual manipulation tools. The space bar for the rotate, another space bar which is for the scale to, and the space bar again brings us to our start point. Now, you notice that when I use the move to, it's just snapping. That's because the snapping tool is enabled by this orange button here. So if I remove it, look at what it does. It just moves 0. If I click on it again, and this time increase the snapping to, let's say, 50. Look at how it's going to move. Just one move. See how it moves. Let's say I increase it by 100. it moves wider. So the snapping tool is quite very useful during the creation of any scene or any game. Now let's come to the transform tool. Now let's say, now look at it, on the x-axis, which is this red button, always know the red axis is the red one. Now it depends. Now the red axis here is, the x-axis is red. So let's click on, let's say we want it to transform to 0 and press enter. Then we also click on 0 for the y-axis as well and press enter. Now what this meant, let's leave the z, or okay, let's put 0 there. So what it does, because this is the ground and that's where we should be starting from. Now if we push enter for the z, what it does, it goes in. Now that's not good. Let's undo that as well. Now this is in the world. We will know this with the mouse here. If I click on this, it brings it to local. You may not have noticed any change, but this time if I click on 0, there's a much slight difference. But the time, I would suggest you play around it and know how to use it very well, because this is quite good for making scenes and making scenes to a good scale. A typical games developer should make games to a proper scale. So that way it's like, let's say you're given by the game director or the producer in a game studio that, oh, we want that scene to be to this scale, to the 100 scale, to this unit. You know straight that, oh, I'm creating a prop that will start from maybe base 20. You know straight, you come to your Z, you put it on base on the 20 units. You know, oh, because the scene is maybe 100, the scene is maybe, let's say, on a scale of 100. You know, the prop you're bringing in must start from the, let's say you wanted to start from the y-axis. Maybe on the y-axis you want it to be, let's say you want it to start from far to this end. But let me show you there. Maybe you want it to start far from this end. You know therefore that it's not going to be 0. Maybe it's going to be maybe minus 5, or maybe 10. You understand? You get the point now. So for it to move, oh sorry, yeah, for it to move to this end, you know that you have to play around this y-axis. Let me click on undo again. I click on F. So I clicked on F and I came on here because I have this object selected. Yeah, so then let's forget that. I click, if I want that, I place F on the main ground and that will be selected. Okay, you should always remember that. So yeah, suggest that any person who's going into using Unity, Unreal, I'm mixing Unity and Unreal, or any game engine, you should do your best to make your games to a scale. It makes you quite very professional, it makes your work neater, and trust me, it it will make your work very, very easy, which we'll be doing very soon. When we're making our games, we know, oh, this place to this place is, let's say, 10 units or 10 centimeters, and we want to make a window of 4 centimeters. We know, or maybe 5 centimeters. We know straight up that, oh, if from here to here is 10, and we want it to be half, so we just know it's 5 centimeters, and we know where we place it. You just place it here. It makes your work simple. You work to a grid, you work to a scale, and your work is neater, your work is very good. So that way when you render the game, there's a tendency that the loopholes wouldn't be too many for you to be fixing, to be patching. Like you play some video games, you walk around in some video games, you say, oh, what's this loophole there? No. That's how I'm going to be making sure that we work to a good scale. Now let's make a duplicate of this item in our scene. So what you do is you hold down the Alt while the move tool is still on. You hold down the Alt on the keyboard, hold the left shift and move. And that's a duplicate there. Simple. If you want to do it again, you hold down the Alt, left shift, left click on the button. So hold down Alt, left click and move again. And that's it. So you can hold the shift to highlight the 2, and we could move, hold the center and move the 3 at once. Yeah? Or we could place everything on 0. This will be 20. Press enter. Yep, that's it. Fine and good. And move it again. Move everything at once. Should be careful of how we move. So yeah. Good. Let's say now I want to deselect this one in the middle here, this couch in the middle. So just hold down your control and left click on the item. And that's it. That's deselected. Let's say we want to select it back, hold down your control and click on the left click, and they're all back to normal. Now mostly what we do in the game engine is we work from the perspective view, which is this, as we have in the viewport right now. So let's click on the 3 other views. Let's look at the top view, which is the top view. They hold on the shift and just selected the 3. If we go now to the side view, see them all from the side. We can work on them. The times that this is quite useful. And we could look at it from the front view. Yeah, the 3 all selected. Work from the front view. But we'll be going to the perspective. These views are good when you need to select, maybe in a scene, maybe you need to select one particular item, maybe that you're working on, maybe this scene here now, but you need to work on this particular one. You want to see it properly, you can just work on it the way you want, move it the way we want. It's good. So all these scenes, they have how all these viewports have the way they all work. So press the F key, select, and now there's something else. We're on the lit. Let's look at in the This is also, this could be useful as well. We can look at it from the wireframe. That's the view mode. This view mode, what it means is, let's say, this could be very useful in my end. Let's say we want to really see what we are clicking on here. We want to see maybe a particular face that we want to select and work on. We could click on the and maybe select a particular face, delete a face, and that's the wireframe. So yeah, by selecting this view mode, and there are different view modes to look at. Visibility, different view modes. There are times they could be useful. Lighten only, maybe you just want to see the true color of it. There are different view modes. But this is what we'll be using mostly, and let's see how it goes. Z, W, and S for moving back. Yeah. Mention that the detail lighten, what it does is, this is a mode that's good and will be useful for debugging. So it's going to be really useful in case of debugging and using the game. So let's go back to the lit mode. So now let's look at our assets. Let's look at importing assets. Assets are these props that maybe we create. I could make them maybe in Maya or in ZBrush or any other place. Maybe we download it, maybe we buy it from online or from the marketplace. So to import them into bring them into our scene, that means we have to bring them into our content browser, and that means we have to import it. So we click, if let's say we have it on our desktop, we just click import. So it imports everything into project. They come in project. You must save them in projects so that they come with the shades, the shader, they come with the particles, they come with the materials. So you click on import, then it opens the import folder. Then from the import folder, we select where we're bringing it from or where it was saved. Then we select what directory we want to install it in. Yeah, so let's say we're bringing the item. Let's say what we are importing is saved here. We just click here, we open it. I don't have anything I've created anyway. We import it and it just comes here and it drops into our props. That's how we import. Yeah. Now let's look at materials. How to apply materials to an item in our viewport. Just click on material and it will load. So let's say we want wood. Just the wood. Pick any one. This is just a basic setup now. Just left click, drag, and say drop it on one item. Then we then see what goes on and how or what it does. It's taking its time to load. As we know, Unreal Engine requires lots of RAM for it to work. Now, apart from doing this, what we could also do is that we could decide to add materials and textures together on a particular prop. Now, as you can see, it's changed the material now. It's changed the material. Well, now let's decide, let's say we want to add a texture to it now. So the material could, maybe a shiny material could be opaque. That's what it does. Well, let's say we want to add now a texture to it now. Drop it on. Now it applied, but it applied to the floor. No, that's not what I want. No. So you have to be careful with what we select. Now let's try it again. Click on this. Drag it right on the item itself. Yeah. Now the material. Drag it. Yep. So we drag this tiled material and look at it. See what we have there. Look. Look around if we wish, if we want. So you can see that we can make different, and we could customize ours if we want. Just calm down, begin customizing, adding more lights, which we'll be doing in the game when we want to make our materials. So the different things we could do with this. Now let's put lights into our scene, into our viewport. How do we do that? We go to the modes section, click place. On place we click on lights. Now directional lights, as we see, is like from the top, viewing everywhere. Point light is mostly what we'll be using in Unreal Engine, and that's like a light bulb. So the next one is spotlight, like spotlights where you stand, it just spots to that ground. Then skylight is more like, say, put it on a particular scene, then it shows, it takes the color of where it's taken as a scene, the color, the light from the scene, like say like sunlight. So, but yeah, we're going to be using mostly in our Unreal Engine the spotlight, the point light. So let's just left click and bring a point light, say put it over here. Let's put this over here. Now, yep, it's there. So all that matters is to use the direction. So let's now rotate it. Sorry, that's what I meant. So let's rotate it to how we want it to go now. To rotate the light itself. So to rotate, we can let's move this to where we want. So we fill it. Press the space bar. Want to move it. Whichever direction we want, just to get the feel of it. Now, instead of clicking on rotate or anything, you should go on the attenuation ratio here. So what that means is it looks around, it affects. Let me click around. It looks like, and this green line here, it affects the light radius around it. So if I go the attenuation and bring it down, it means the lights within that area is where the lights will affect. If I bring it back up, it talks about the entire area where the light will affect. So if we say the light source radius, it also affects all that as well. So I'll say we should play around with this, how intensified you want it to be. See, look at it. The more, let me zoom on it more. If I click on how intensified, you see how the light is glowing more. But if I reduce this, it's just going to be limited to this area. So you can see how want it to glow around, and I'll say you should just play around it more. And yeah, that's it for now. And you should play around more of a Unreal Engine, and I'll say yeah, hope you enjoyed this training and this tutorial. There'll be more on Unreal Engine. We'll be making our video game or whatever concept that we think is good. You could email me, you could just write a comment, you could like the page, subscribe, then you get more tutorials live from here. And yeah, and that's it. My name is Emmanuel, and thanks for watching.